Good afternoon. So, as promised, I am here to talk about boundaries. So, this is the first video of what will likely be about a 5 week series on the topic of boundaries, setting boundaries. What are boundaries? Why you need boundaries in your life. Okay. And just having an open dialogue about boundaries and why we're afraid to set boundaries. What happens when we do set boundaries and what we should expect, right? So, what is a boundary? It is like a standard um and a cue or a nudge, a understanding between you and someone else of how they will treat you. Is giving them a detailed outline of what you expect and what you will and will not tolerate. Okay. And so it's about how you again allow someone to treat you. So you want to set a standard for your life. You want to set a standard for how people are able to treat you, how they approach you, how they talk to you, what things that they are allowed to even come and ask you to do, especially when it comes to favors or when it comes to your resources, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your time, when it comes to your energy. Okay. Something I heard today on a podcast, it was the Oprah Winfrey podcast, and she was interviewing a doctor, Dr. Thema, I want to say, beautiful black doctor. And what this doctor said was nothing will ever be enough if people see you as a resource. Okay. And my shirt says you are enough. I want you to know that you are enough. Okay. The person that you are, the individual that you are enough outside of anything you have to offer material wise, resource wise, any financially, you are enough. But if you have someone in your life that only sees you as a resource, that only sees you for what you can give them outside of just being authentically who you are, then you're not going to be enough for them. Because every time they come to you and they ask you for something and you're giving it, the next time they come, they want more and they want more and they want more. And the moment that you say no, okay, then all bets are off. They lose it. You're the worst thing on the earth. You're selfish. You're this and you're that. Okay. So I want you to gain an understanding today that if someone is only using you for your resources, for your finances, for your energy, for your time, and they don't want you for the individual that you are, you will never be able to satisfy them and please them. And the lines of the boundaries will always be crossed all the time. All right. So think about that as we go through this series on boundaries. Um, these boundaries that you set in your life, they teach people how to interact with you. So how someone talks to you, how someone relates to you, that is based on the boundaries that they, either know are there or don't know that are there, right? So when I think about a story or something that I can put on this to help us understand it better, I had a manager that had a meeting with me and told me that, I want you to know that if anytime, you feel like you need to raise your voice or you feel like you need to express yourself, in a manner, raise your voice, get loud, whatever, in order to express yourself, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But let's just make sure that we keep it professional. Now, why he came to me with that information, I can't tell you because I don't have a history of that type of interaction with anyone, especially not in a professional setting, right? If there's something that I don't like and I need to express it, I am well versed enough to talk to you in a manner that is professional, that is very straightforward, that is no nonsense, but I never have had to take the stance of raising my voice or yelling or things like that. So I told him, I said, well, I'm going to say this, that will never be the case with me. You will never hear me yell at you or, scream and shout, in order to get my point across, because I'm well capable of getting those across with my words and doing it in a professional manner. I said, and along with that, I don't expect you to do that to me. I don't expect you to yell and scream, because that's not something that I'm going to accept from you, just like I would not expect you to accept that from me. And so that was a boundary that I set early on to let him know that, hey, you may be okay with this, but I'm not. And when it comes to our communication back and forth, this is how me and you will communicate. You may do something different with other people on the team. That's not my problem. But when it comes to me and you, this is how we're going to communicate. And from that day forth, that's what it's been. So you got to set those clear boundaries to help people understand what you expect and how they are to treat you. Because those boundaries, they reflect your self-respect and your self-worth, right? So you set those boundaries and you say, this, I'm setting this boundary because I know that I am worthy of this type of treatment. I am worthy of this type of respect. And this is what I'm standing on. And it also helps you with your well-being when you set boundaries, because it kind of weeds out the drama, the mess, people that will come to you with, certain, information, or come to you in a certain way, or come to you when they're angry. If we think about the workplace, if you have employees, or you have co-workers that have a home life that is, not peaceful at all. And there's always something going on, and they bring that to work with them, and they take it out on their co-workers. A lot of people will say, oh, well, that's just how so-and-so is, or, oh, they're going through this at home, so I understand why. Well, you haven't set a strong enough boundary, right? Because for me, we all have things that we deal with in our families, in our personal relationships, but that doesn't give us the okay to bring it to work and to take it out on people that have nothing to do with what we have going on at home. So we have to practice emotional intelligence. Okay. When you come to work, practice emotional intelligence. If someone is doing that to you, you set that boundary and say, hey, I don't know what you have going on, but this is the way you're going to communicate with me. This is how we're going to talk to one another. And you can go ahead and take a little break right now. And when you're ready to revisit this conversation in the manner that I require, then we can move forward. So setting those boundaries, it honors who you are, and it increases your self-worth and your self-respect. So not only does it do that, but it helps with having healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are those relationships where you can talk about any and everything, but you also talk about it in a respectful way. And you may come away from it agreeing to disagree, right? We're not going to always agree on everything when we're having a conversation with someone or some kind of issue arises. We're not going to always agree. And that's perfectly fine. But setting that boundary to say, hey, I have the ability to make my own choices and to decide what it is I agree with, and you do as well. And we can compromise, come to a happy medium, or we can both walk away and say, yeah, we didn't agree on that. On to the next thing, right? So it helps you to not be stressed and anxious and depressed because you're too busy trying to please everybody else. You're too busy trying to make the road clear and smooth for everybody else. You're too busy being a trash can for everybody else's emotions and feelings and needs and wants and all of that stuff. And you didn't set that boundary to say, I am not the trash can. Okay, I'm not somewhere where you come and you dump all of your mess and then you move on through life like nothing's wrong and you leave me here to deal with your mess. No, set those boundaries early on, personal and professional, and see how life changes for you. All right. So I hope that there was something that I said during this video that helped you or got your wheels turning and you thinking about some things and some situations and some relationships in your life, and areas where you need to begin to set boundaries. Okay. So our next video, we'll go a little deeper. We'll talk about some more specific things concerning boundaries, and feel free to leave a comment or ask questions, or if there's something that you want to hear more about when it comes to the topic of boundaries, please feel free to leave that comment and I will read it. In our next video, I will address it. All right. So have an amazing day. All right. I love you all. Namaste.